me what they wanna see me for. Hit me out, here we go. What's the re-report? Tell me what they wanna see me for. Hit me out, here we go. What's the re-report? Tell me what they wanna see me for. Hit me out, here we go. What's the re-report? Tell me what they wanna see me for. Hear me out, here we go. What's the re-report? Bring it to you live.
Welcome to the re-report. Appreciate you guys for taking this time to hear me out on the re-report. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Please support your boy. I really do appreciate it. We hit 5/15/20. The goal was to reach that by Friday. So I do appreciate you guys for subscribing to the channel. And please continue to do so. Share the video as well and help us grow. Today we are talking about Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, this is something I wanted to respond to quickly. He made a comment about Sam Darnold. I wanted to see the clip in its entirety, not the entire segment, but just the clip on the take that he had regarding Sam Darnold. And I wanted to, of course, let you guys hear that clip as well if you haven't already. So let's see what it was that Stephen A. had to say about what Stephen A. had to say about Sam Darnold, because we know that the Vikings 14-2 had a great season, and a season that I thought that they would win. I think I picked the Vikings to win 4 games in my predictions this year. I want to say I think I picked them to win just 4 games. Super disrespectful. 4 or 6, something like that. I did pick them to finish last in the division. That's all that matters. And they are on their way to playing for the division championship and the number 1 seed this Sunday night against the Lions, who's also 4-2, had a great season, to no one's surprise, like Minnesota. Of course, the Vikings quarterback got injured, J.J. McCarthy, their top quarterback in the draft, who they drafted, and they had to go with Sam Darnold. And Darnold has exceeded expectations. You can talk about the weapons he have, you can talk about this and that, but the man still delivered with what he had, and that's all you can ask for. So let's see what Stephen A. had to say about Sam Darnold. The quote says, "We're talking about Sam Darnold. The man hasn't thrown for 300 yards since November 24th against Chicago." It sounds ridiculous already. Let's not act like this is the second coming of Dan Marino. He throws stuff in like that. Nobody else does that. He makes those comparisons. So let's hear what he had to say
about Sam Darnold, and again, he deserves credit. We know he's had a stellar season, etc., etc. The man hasn't thrown for 300 yards since November 24th against Chicago. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, we acting like that. Let's not act like this is the second coming of Dan Marino, and we just see him flinging passes all over.
You can see Booger's face. You can see Mad Dog's face, and I'm gonna get there.
You got Jefferson, you got Addison, and all of a sudden it's Ed Coryell now. It's Dan Fouts, it's Dan Marino with Mark Super Duper and Mark Clayton. I mean, what are we talking about here? I'm just saying, can we pump the brakes? Can we pump the brakes just a touch, Booger? Can we sit up there and at least have the mentality? Let's see. Everybody else got the show. How come he don't have to show it? Let's see.
He has been showing it. Of course, the playoffs is a different story. But if a guy who has had the best weapons of his career, how long has Sam Darnold been in the league now? Since 18? So 18, 19, 20, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 years. And this is the best that he's ever been around. And he is more than delivering. So we have to stop and give him credit for it being his first time delivering. I can see if he was doing this year in and year out and never reached, those heights and never got past, what we were used to. But this is the first time he's had weapons like this. He didn't have this in Carolina. He didn't have this in New York. It was it's still a disaster in New York. In Carolina, our friends, the team I root for, we're just starting to get better. But it was terrible out there. So there is no pump the brakes on Sam Darnold. Nobody's talking about him like he's Dan Marino or Dan Phelps or anything like that. We're just saying, hey, now he got the weapons that he got. He finally delivering. He delivering. He deserves credit right here and right now, regardless of what happens Sunday against Detroit. And then you look, I mean, just look at the numbers right here. So the whole having thrown for 300 yards since Chicago, it's just that was such a reach of a stat, because I can guarantee you that's not a stat that people are thinking of when it comes to the Vikings' success. Oh, look how many yards. Oh, Sam Darnold ain't thrown for 300 yards since November 24th. Like, nobody cares about that. I can see if he said Sam Darnold hasn't thrown for 300 yards since week 15, 3 years ago or something. But the fact that he hasn't done it since Chicago, which is November 24th over here, that stat is completely... And that stat is a lie. That stat is also a lie. Because he threw for 347 against Atlanta. So he lied. He threw for 347 against Atlanta. It's right here. He threw for... These are regular season. 208, 268, 330 was his first, and he threw for 347. And somebody fed him the wrong information, because he threw for 347 right here against Atlanta. And I watched this game. I don't know how I didn't remember that. So he wants to criticize him because he hasn't thrown for 300 since Chicago, which, like I said, is just a reach of a stat, trying to be funny, trying to be entertaining, but it completely missed the mark. It wasn't funny. It wasn't entertaining. Sam Darnold numbers does not matter in a situation like this, and his numbers are not even bad. Look at the numbers. Speaks for itself. Look at the numbers. This is Sam Darnold. 4,153 yards, 35 touchdowns, to 12 interceptions, 63.4 QBR. Yes, he has weapons. Just like Brock Purdy had weapons. And he delivered to get them to the Super Bowl and should have won. Sam Darnold's capable of doing the same thing with this team. This is not a fluke team like the Kirk Cousins Vikings. Now, I believe that to be a fluke team. But you can't knock the man for having this situation around him for the first time in his career and putting up these numbers. He's never had an opportunity to do so because the situations wasn't stable around him in years past. And get your facts straight before you do so, because he has thrown for 300 yards since Chicago. He did it against Atlanta in a 42-21 win. How many games did Sam Darnold have? Like, let's see his multiple touchdown games. Let's go back to Sam Darnold. Let's go to game logs. Because right when people were ready to write them off after this 5-0 start, they lost 2 straight, and then we're like, all right, back down to earth. But then what happened? They haven't lost since. They haven't lost since. Look at that. Who's ready? They lost both these games twice in the same week. On a Sunday, played on the Thursday, and lost again. And look what happened. But here are his game logs right over here. 3 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns against Atlanta, where he threw for 347 yards, 22 of 28 passing. 2 touchdown games, 3 straight 2 touchdown games, 3 touchdowns, 3, 4, 3. Look at that. And who was he beating? He lost a close one to Detroit. They open up. Are we in the preseason right here? Is this the preseason? Oh, this is the regular. No, this is the regular season. Did what they had to do against the Giants. Beat the 49ers to let people know that, hey, we coming. We just beat the defending champs. After the defending champs came off a week 1 blowout win against the Jets. Defending NFC champs, that is. Blew out the Texans. Escaped the Packers, a good team. 2 playoff teams right here. Early on, we thought they would be something legit, the Niners. Beat the Jets, should have done that. Lost to the Lions, not too shabby, didn't get blown out. Lost to the Rams, okay, what's going on? Got right back on track against the Colts with 3 touchdowns. And sometimes you're going to have these low-scoring defensive games, and that's what happened against Jacksonville. Beat Tennessee, beat Chicago, the divisional game. Beat Arizona, who was in playoff contention at the time, if I'm not mistaken. Blew out Atlanta. We see it. They beating quality people. So let's not act like what Sam Darnold is doing is just something to be brushed off, because we've never seen him do it before, because he's never had the opportunity to do it before at this level, and he's executing. And real quick, before we officially get out of here, because this just crossed my mind, Sam Darnold is 100% an MVP candidate. He is. He is in the conversation for MVP. Is he going to win it? No. Should he win it? No. I will still take Lamar Jackson, then Josh Allen, then Sam Darnold, as this list has it, in that order. Sam Darnold has never been in a situation like this before. And he's executing, making the best of it. So he is to get credit for what he has done, and him, you know what I'm saying, not throwing for 300 yards however many times, that stuff doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. And since we own it, guess we back here. I don't know. Guess we back. So let's take a look, because I'm just curious. I'm just curious, and I could be wrong, but I'm gonna look at it with y'all. How many times has Lamar Jackson thrown for this many 300 yards in a game? Since that stat is such a big deal. On a 14-2 team, on a team that is but you know, of course they can say, oh, Lamar uses his legs a lot, but Lamar has only thrown for 300 yards. He hasn't thrown for it since October. He hasn't done it since October. Yes, he uses his legs a lot. I get that point. But he hasn't done it since October, and Lamar is still my MVP. I'm just trying to figure out the reach of that stat and what that means. What about Josh Allen? I'm sure he has multiple. He better. Let's go game logs. He uses his legs a lot too. But still, look at this. 300 yards, October 20th. And 300 yards, December. He has the same amount as Sam Darnold. Three 300-yard games. 3 300-yard games. Now, there's one more guy we can look at who I'm sure has more. And his team don't have enough wins for him to be in MVP conversation. Of course, I'm talking about Joe Burrow. They're probably not even going to make the playoffs. I hope they do. I like the Bengals. I hope they do, but I'm sure he has a lot. But I'm just curious now. So Joe Burrow has 1, 2, did it in September. 2 against Baltimore. 3 again against Baltimore. 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm sure Stephen A. Smith doesn't have Joe Burrow as his MVP, but I'm curious as to why he doesn't if Joe Burrow got 7 300-plus yard games. And his team is 7-8. His team is 8-8. And yet Sam Darnold, he's talking about the yards, and Sam Darnold has more yards, passing yards, than either of them. But we're going to point out the fact that he hasn't thrown for 300 yards since Chicago. When we saw that was a lie, he did it against Atlanta after that, weeks after that. But yet he still has more passing yards than these guys. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. And yeah, I just thought it was a ridiculous take to reach that far with the stat, and the stat was wrong, and to just throw Dan Marino and Dan Phelps in there. But that's all I have to say. So let me know what you guys think. Till then, take care.
Hear me out, here we go with the Reed Report. Bring it to you live, on time. Bring it to you live, on time. Bring it to you live, on time. Bring it to you live, on time.